Hello folks, and welcome to the second of a handful of videos I'll be doing covering various aspects of the Return to Jurassic Park DLC. We're going to be splitting these into three main topics: the dinosaurs and their skins, the Compies and the aviaries, and then the buildings campaign, everything else essentially. These should all be relatively short, sweet, and uploaded in quick succession. You're here for the information, and I'm going to give it to you. It just sounds dirty every time to me, along with some inevitably brilliant drawings along the way. Why I'm not a professional artist is honestly beyond me. That joke will only get funnier. Hopefully you can forgive me for the splitting up of these videos, and hopefully some of you do find the information more accessible in this way. Also, yes, I'm using the same script for the start of each video. Is that weird? I'm pretending it makes me more professional. For reference, I attended an event with Frontier last week wherein I played both Mission 1 and 6 of the campaign to completion, as well as spending time in sandbox mode for both the Jurassic World and Jurassic Park era. We were only allowed to record the first mission, so this is going to be a pictureless video. The Compies and the Pteranodon were not accessible in the first mission, as you'll have seen from my gameplay footage. That said, we have had images of both thanks to the trailers and the Frontier screenshots. Anyway, Compies and Pteranodons, here we go. We'll start with the Compies because there's a little bit less to say about them, I would say, because they work pretty much like you'd expect. You research them, you dig them up via dig sites Solnhofen in Germany and Canjours, I don't know, in France. There's no way I didn't butcher both of those names horribly. And then you release them into your park. They pop out of the hatcheries in their 5 or 6 skins, and then they do dinosaur things. There are a couple of interesting things to note, however. The first is that they are tiny. Tiny! I cannot emphasize this enough. You legitimately can't actually see them from the air at all. You see this like slim shadow darting betwixt the grass. And that's right, I scripted the word betwixt in there. It is going to be nigh on impossible to manually take these guys down. I'm looking forward to seeing people try, and maybe the addition of the new flares that we know we're getting thanks to the Ranger update is going to help us do that. Animation wise and model wise though, they're basically perfect replicas of the Lost World Jurassic Park Compy we know and love. I wish I'd had more time to check out all of the animations and stuff, but one I can talk about is the eating animation. Now you'll have seen bits of this from the trailer. They hop up onto the carnivore feeder, they rummage around a little, they snap at a piece of meat, and then they bring it off to the feeder onto the grass where they eat it. Someone did point out to me that their snouts can be bloodied whilst doing this, but I saw something else whilst watching my Compies, and take this with a little bit of salt in case I have gone insane, but I'm sure that rarely, very rarely, one of my Compies would emerge from the meat feeder, entirely covered in blood, as in they had this shiny, wet, red texture covering most of their body. It was really cool, and it was a huge surprise when I spotted it, and it made it, honestly, one of the best animations in the game if I haven't gone nuts. I really hope it is legitimate and I haven't lost my marbles. Marbles aren't cheap, you know. It's also worth pointing out that initially I did actually try to feed them a goat, and again I was on a shortest schedule, I can't say this for sure, but I did believe they're unable to kill the goat. I haven't tried to send them on a guest yet, well, because I didn't have any, really, but it could actually be the same deal. It makes sense, pack hunting is not a thing, and a single compy probably isn't really going to do much damage. It could also be that the animation for killing the goat is not in the game yet. I'm just telling you what I personally experienced in my time with the game. When you research the aviary and unlock the Pteranodon via 2 new dig sites, Pierre Shale and Smoky Hill Chalk in the USA, you place the building as you would any other building in the game. It's genuinely super impressive to see in real time. It's humongous, it dwarfs every other building I had many times over, and the visual design of it is really next level. It looks just perfectly suited to Jurassic Park. There wasn't a modern version of it, but you can use the aviary in Jurassic World and Jurassic Park. It's the only building that kind of transfers perfectly across. As for how the aviary functions, it's basically a hatchery in and of itself. When you click the aviary, you're swapped to a screen with 6 incubation tabs, which you can then fill with Pteranodons. You don't edit the stats of the Pteranodons, but you can change the skin for each one if you wish. I believe there was actually 7 skins, but I may be misremembering that. Like the dinosaurs, the incubation can, and did for me actually, fail, but if it succeeds, your camera cuts to a hatchery screen, which is like this raised gated area that you can't see in any of the screenshots. The gate opens into pitch black darkness and the Pteranodon flies out. I will admit I found the animation a tiny bit disappointing, if only because the camera is so far away from the Pteranodon as it emerges. So I'm hopeful we'll get a slightly cooler animation before release. The aviary could also be further upgraded with both incubation speed and success rates like the regular hatcheries. And as an aside, the building animation for the aviary is actually really cool. It kind of builds in this looping upwards circle. I watched the whole thing, it was great. Once your 6 Pteranodons are out, your work is basically done. As far as I can tell, it doesn't require any feeding, etc. Though the more Pteranodons you have, the more expensive the facility will be to run. You view your new arrivals through various different camera views you can flick between, and you can also move the camera and zoom in as need be. In total, there was a surprisingly large 9 different camera viewpoints that I counted. Some are out in the open, some are lower to the ground, some are in the viewing area. My favourite ones are the ones that hide in the caged walkway that stretches across the exhibit. The Pteranodons are, as far as I could tell, on a looping animation. I sat in one particular camera spot and basically I just stared at a rock pillar for a few minutes, and I saw the same Pteranodon land there 3 times or so without any other Pteranodons appearing. Bearing in mind that each Pteranodon had a different skin as well, so it was easy for me to tell. Now that may sound disappointing, but I actually had to sit there for several minutes to confirm that the animations loop. They do loop, but the loops are so long and include so many different parts of the aviary that it's genuinely really difficult to tell unless you are sitting there and searching out to make sure they loop, basically. This is not like, say, the looping animation in Frontier's Zoo Tycoon game. This is much more drawn out and lifelike, in my opinion. That's nearly all I have to say. I did just remember something I haven't scripted. The Compies, I believe their population need was a max of 30 and their social need was 25. 1 to 25 was their social. I'm just remembering that off the top of my head. It just kind of popped in, wasn't in the script. Anyways, I love the look of the Pteranodons. They came with some great skin variants, rainforest in particular, really cool. And I think given the impressiveness of the aviary along with the entertainment value those Pteranodons are going to bring, the aviary is going to be a super popular addition. The way it's set up also means we could get more additions down the line. I'm thinking Dimorphodon in particular, of course, but its presence as a DLC exclusive building does render that a little bit more unlikely. We'll have to see what happens, but I'm really glad it made it into the game, along with the Compies that round out our roster to 68 animals. Frontier knew what they were doing. Join me next time for the final DLC discussion video of the day, wherein we'll be covering, well, everything else, basically, from the new goat feeder to the campaign itself, and don't worry, I will be giving spoiler warnings in the video. And that's along with the buildings, the decorations, the redwood trees, you get the idea, tons of stuff. If you like this video, throw me a like, and I'll see you lovely folks next time. Cheers, much love, and as always, bye bye. Hey folks, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video or you want to help support me a little bit more, you can do so at patreon.com/bestinslot. There's a link in the description down below. Every little really does help in times like these, but it's not at all expected, and by just watching the video you've already helped me out massively, and it makes you a pretty cool person, so well done you. Thanks for joining me either way, I'll see you next time.